All right, so you probably heard of Paris Hilton, but have you heard of Ksenia Sobchak? Well, she's not only young, good-looking, and rich, she has about 500,000 followers on Twitter, and she has now become a leading voice in the Russian opposition. New York Times magazine calls her the Paris Hilton of Russia and the stiletto in Putin's side. Wow. Hala Garani, she's joining us to talk about this upcoming superstar, really. Hala, the comparisons to Paris Hilton, hard to ignore.
Right, and when you see these videos of her in those reality shows and these variety and entertainment shows in Russia, you can see why she's kind of a pop culture phenomenon in the country. She's only 30 years old, and when you talk about Paris Hilton and the comparisons, it's because, as far as the business empire that she has a hand in is concerned, there are similarities. There's an entrepreneurial side to her. There's also that activist side. Forbes, by the way, Suzanne says she's worth $2.5 million. She has a fashion line. She writes columns for magazines. She has investments in radio and television shows, and even has started her own political talk show on television in Russia, Suzanne.
It's interesting here because apparently she is now using her wealth, using her popularity, putting all of this to fight now President Vladimir Putin and the power, the regime that's actually in power now. This was someone who just, had racy photos and was kind of an interesting person to follow, and now totally embroiled in fighting the government.
Well, this is what's interesting. It's because her father, Anatoly, was a mentor to Vladimir Putin, who, of course, as you know, started his third term as president of Russia a few months ago. But now, this same woman, Ksenia, has been the subject of interrogations by Putin's government forces. She is now projecting herself as part of the opposition movement. She's become a target, she says, because of her speaking out at rallies for the opposition. You see some of them there on your screen. Her boyfriend, Suzanne, is one of the leaders of the opposition, and their goal is to free their people, they say, and see an end to Putin's rule, who they say is not entirely democratic. She's even made fake television ads mocking Putin. Now, keep in mind, her father is the mentor to Putin. Her YouTube videos have more than 2 million views. So like many young people these days, and similar to the movement with Barack Obama perhaps in 2008, she and young people in Russia are using the internet to push their social movements. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this beautiful, young, 30-year-old blonde bombshell that's on shows like Big Brother, how she ends up perhaps politically motivating people in the anti-Putin movement in Russia.
Hala, I thought something was really interesting that I read, that the new U.S. ambassador to Russia recently appointed, one of the first things he did was to contact her and to make sure that he was following her on Twitter and set up a meeting with her. So it just goes to show how powerful this young woman really is.
And how much of a following she has. Half a million followers on Twitter and on television stations everywhere, it seems, these days.
All right, Hala, excellent story. Interesting, a little slice of life there in Russia. Thanks again, Hala. We'll be watching for her, see what happens. Maybe she could end up being Russia's first female president. Who knows? You never know. Thanks.